October 28th, 2019 at 6 p.m. I call to order the City of Kennedy's City Council's special meeting. A quorum is present. Amanda, would you please call roll?
Counselor Briones?
Present.
Counselor Wynn?
Here.
Counselor Sines? Here. Counselor Kano?
Here.
Counselor Meyer?
Here.
All is present.
Councilor Wynn, would you say a prayer, please?
Oh, Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon thanking you for this day. Thanking you for all that you do for all of us and our community and all around the world. We ask that you would watch over us, help us make good, sound decisions, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of each other, and kindness in our hearts so that we can accomplish the tasks that are set before us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amanda, do you have anybody signed up for citizen comments?
Yes, Joe Baker.
Joe Baker.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I don't have any written comments prepared tonight, but I just want to say a few words about the agenda for this meeting. I looked for it, and forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I looked for it at the city's website, and I didn't see it there. Been checking for it periodically. And I didn't see it there. I also checked the city's Facebook page, which you would think that if you're broadcasting live meetings, you would also post agendas to that page, but it's not there. And if there's some good reason for that, then, I totally understand. If there's not, I would encourage you to consider encourage, I believe it's the city secretary who's responsible for posting agendas, both online and in the display window. So if you can, if you have a chance to have a word with the city secretary and encourage her to do so, I think it's good for the community. It's not convenient for 3,000 people to drive by the front of City Hall twice a week just to see if there's a council meeting, especially under circumstances like this where it's a lengthy agenda on not your regular meeting day. It's a special agenda. So a lot of people weren't aware of this meeting, and I would hope that you would all do as much as you can to keep the public aware of every time that you meet and all the important issues that are on this agenda tonight. One of the things I wanted to address was I put in a request, an open records request for video. If you'll recall, a while back there was an issue with an agenda posting and the timeliness of the posting, whether or not it met the 72-hour rule, which is part of the Texas Open Meetings Act. I spoke to the council about this not too long after it happened and encouraged you all to review the video recording and to follow up with me on that. And I haven't heard from a council member or the mayor or any city official. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and request the video myself, take a look. One way or the other, we'll know what happened because the video tells the whole story on whether or not it was posted at 6 p.m. as was claimed, or if it was posted later than that or the next day. There's a record there. We know there's a record there now because the city has filed with the Attorney General's office seeking an exception to the Open Records Act that will, they're claiming that they do not have to release the video. And they're claiming some exceptions I haven't seen before, one under Homeland Security and another under privacy. So if you haven't seen that email, I'd be happy to share it with you. And so you can look that over and be aware of everything that's happening in the city. I think, the city secretary's position is a position of trust. And I, for one, would like to know how truthful the city secretary was being when she said she posted that agenda at that time. And the video will tell the whole story. So I'm not sure why the city would spend a lot of money with attorneys trying to fight the release of those recordings, because it seems it should be fairly automatic. But that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Item number 6, consideration and possible action in regard to Resolution 19-22, nominating Lee Hicks to serve on the Karnes County Appraisal District for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020. Is there a presentation? No? Okay, I received I received the email, the same email that you guys did. Lee Hex is currently serving, and I nominated Lee Hex. If you guys want to talk about that, we can. All we need is a motion.
I'll make a motion to consider item number 6 on the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay.
He already serves on the board, doesn't he?
Yes.
All this is doing is just putting it back on.
Yes, sir. Did they get the same email, Amanda, that I did
Yes.
with the instructions and all that good stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't just decide I'm gonna do it on my own. I read it pretty carefully, and that's what it said, so I thought if he's already on there, he's doing a good job. Nobody's ever said anything that he wasn't. We ran with it.
So then I'll make a motion to appoint Lee Hex for the 2020-2021 2-year term.
Second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Kano? Yes. Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 7, consideration and possible action in regard to Resolution 19-23 for the acceptance of a cost proposal for sports fields and site construction at Larry Keesland Youth Sports Complex from Hellas Construction, Inc. in the amount of $3,444,638 even, and to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Hellas Construction, Inc. for above scope and price. Is there a presentation?
Mayor, council, this goes through Stuart Hanson. They worked very diligently to get this contract put together with Hellas. Hellas is in fact the premier ball field builder in the state of Texas. They do most of them, and they're very well skilled in building artificial turf baseball fields. And having looked at it, having talked to the mayor about it, I feel that this represents as fair a contract as we're going to get from Hellas and anybody else.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we consider item 7 on the agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Did this go through a bid process, or is this the only person who bid? Or?
We're going to have to call on Craig for that. Craig's with Hanson Engineering.
Okay, great.
Howdy, council, mayor, appreciate you having me here. Craig Thompson with Hanson Professional Services. We did work with 3 actually qualified contractors on this, and after doing so, it was pretty obvious that Hellas was the most qualified and offered comparable prices to everyone else. In fact, beat those prices. And the way that the bid process was, it wasn't a classical design bid type project. It was through a co-op similar to the other contracts that we have come through here. 1GPA being the co-op preferred here. One of the things about 1GPA, by the way, they're very similar to what y'all may have heard of with Byboard. Again, a very similar type co-op. Byboard does charge 2% for their services and bidding prices, whereas 1GPA does provide 1%. That came as a recommendation from Hellas when we had decided to move with them. And I'll stay to answer any other questions.
You guys have any questions for me?
And this includes the dugout, all that stuff that
So-
comes with the scoreboards. I mean, I was looking at this, it says, baseball field, 3 softball fields, synthetic turf system, baseball, softball field dugouts, I mean, everything.
Fencing,
the
backstops,
whole 9
the
yards.
pony wall, masonry all the way around it. There are also a few other items that are included in this. We have put in there some allowances to get the ticket booth within this contract as well. We have also put in the entry archway into the main portion of the baseball fields within it. And then there is a $10,000 allowance in there for some utility coordination. I like to leave that in there. That can be given back if we don't have to do anything on that, but we'll hold on to that just in case there are some sort of issues out there that we end up finding pipelines or something underneath that are unforeseen issues with utility coordination as well.
And this includes the draining.
And so the drainage was in, the main part of the site drainage was in the utilities contract that was already approved by you guys. What this does include and what Hellas does They have a drainage field with rock, different sized rock that collects the drainage from the field, puts it into basically a French drain system throughout those fields, and then they stub outside of the field, and then the site utilities guys will take it from there and plug it into the system, drain it from there. Correct?
Yes.
And we do have folks, representative from Hellas here, if y'all had any questions for the contractor as well.
You guys have any questions for the contractor?
Do we have any, where's the Hellas guys at, if you don't mind me asking?
You don't want to come up and introduce yourselves? That's probably good.
I'm Tommy McDougal, I'm Vice President of Estimating.
I'm Santos Verdino, Youth Project Manager for Hellas.
Yes, sir. Got just a quick question here. I've seen all the prices on here that for each item, that's on the line item of the prices for the project. These are the set prices. They're not varied, going to change or go up or go down. If they do go down, where's that money going to go back into for the project? I'm just going to use this as an example. Site fencing, $33,192. If it happens to come in under, where does the rest of that money go? If it goes over, where are we pulling from to accommodate the rest of that pricing?
Well, that pricing has everything to do with the plans and specs that we were provided by Hanson.
So that's the number.
That's the number.
This is the number. It's not going to change.
No, not going to change.
The other question you had was about the completion date?
Yes, the completion date. I was looking in here, it said a completion date, if there's delays, there'll be possibly fees, but where was the completion date located in this? Or is this a date that we're just throwing out there hoping it's completed by?
The completion date, and by the way, we had a meeting this morning with, or this afternoon with Hellas, also with the site guys. The completion date right now is set for January 15th.
And if y'all aren't done by January 15th, what are going to be the consequences of that?
Well, I do not think we have any liquidated damages in this contract. One of the things that we are going to be doing with not just a site contractor, but with Hellas and with Musco, who's going to be doing the lighting, is we're going to be on top of this every day. If we have to be out here coordinating this, looking at that schedule, we're going to be updating the schedule. One of the things we talked about in our meeting today is to start to update this schedule on a daily, weekly basis as we go through it. Now, one of the things, if it rains for 3 months, then, we've got some,
Yes,
but what we will be doing here is communicating back to this council, every time you guys have a meeting or even more, we can start updating where that deadline and where that date is.
Is there any way you can provide possibly the council with update on our emails, timelines?
Absolutely. No,
For
absolutely.
this project, for this right here, this is the deadline, we're going to plan to meet here, and then we move to the next part, plan to meet here. We just meet these dates, seeing how the progress and how it's coming along.
Yeah, that is a great idea, and we've been meeting weekly so far with the site contractors. I plan to do that at least a weekly, if not maybe more frequently, and I can get you guys a weekly update as to what that
Perfect.
schedule is looking like, so that you can be aware of it. We all need to be aware of it,
Yes.
obviously, so no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, January 15th is a good day. We'd like for it to hit that day. Really, really would like to hit that
Baseball
day.
practice starts about a
We
week
all
after
would,
that.
we all would.
And this money comes from that $7
Yes.
million. Okay, just want to make sure.
Any other discussion?
In this approval, it says the amount that we're going to be approved and authorize the mayor as the person to execute this. Is the mayor and the city manager, or is it the mayor or the city manager? Okay.
Do we have a reason why it's put that way? Why does the mayor execute that? Adolfo?
Well, we have an interim city manager, and if it's going to be someone that's an official from the city, and the city manager, that's the mayor, who will sign the contract.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to consider possible action in regard to Resolution 1923 for the acceptance of a cost proposal for sports fields and site construction at the Larry Keesting Youth Sports Complex from Hellas Construction Corporation, the amount of $3,444,638, and to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Hellas Construction Incorporation for the above scope and price.
So
I'll
you-
second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Brandon?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Capano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 8, consideration and possible action in regard to acceptance of a bid for Cottonwood Office Annex Building from WP Construction in the amount of $663,200 even. Any movement?
I'll make a motion to discuss item number 8.
And I'll second.
Do you have a presentation?
Yes, sir, I do. If y'all remember, this was a rebid that we asked for.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
They had received 5 bids on this. We had asked them to bid, the base bid were 2 alternates. And the budget on this was $660,000. Will Pope Construction came in with a base bid, including the 2, plus the 2 alternates, of $663,200. And that is, in talking with Hector and Delon, we really need the additional, the add-ons to that. And since that is so close, we're recommending that we move forward with the entire amount, the entire project. They've got a 180-day completion on it. And so we can get work started on that very quickly.
And this $663,200, is it a bonded project that we already had, or is this coming out
I
of?
think we budgeted
We
this budget.
budgeted this? Okay, just making sure, know where it's coming from.
Excuse me, but can I ask what this is about?
Yes.
This is expanding the office at the water treatment plant. We've got to add additional pumps at the water treatment plant, and right now the office is where those pumps will have to go. So this is building an office so we can expand put in the high-speed pumps that will allow us to get one more item off our TCEQ.
Is it an office or a mechanical space?
This will be both, office and mechanical, and the office they currently have will become 100% mechanical.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Any movement?
I'll make a motion that we take action and accept the bid for the Cottonwood Office Annex Building with WP Construction in the amount of $663,200 even.
Second?
A second.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Brandon?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes?
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Capano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 9, consideration and possible action authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for services with Artificial Icing Events LLC for an ice rink and related costs for the Special Projects Committee in the amount of $6,966.44. Is there a presentation?
This is for downtown Christmas, Mayor and Council, which will be December the 13th. And this will secure us the ice rink again that we had last year, which was a huge hit for everybody who came to the downtown Christmas event.
It's at a great time, so we decided we would try it again this year and do it again for the kids this year.
And because it is a contract for services, we bring it for the council for approval before we sign it.
Is it the same amount that it was last year?
Yes.
Yes.
They set up and tear down and do it. That's
They do it all.
Motion?
Make a motion to discuss item number 9.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Y'all have not budget for this.
right. We already have the budget set for this. This was.
I was looking up, I just had a question on here. I saw this part right here, the artificial icing contract. It shows the hotel costs. Is this just something they threw out there, or are they actually going to use that as part of it's all fitting into the budget as well?
It all fits into the budget.
Okay.
They do use that. They didn't finish breaking down last year until about 11:45.
No, that's fine. I just thought it's something they threw in there, and if it was going to affect the cost, do we need to raise it or Read it up some more.
And this will be a 30 by 40 rink again.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we take action authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for services with Artificial Ice Event LLC for the ice rink and related costs for the special project committee in the amount of $6,966.44.
And I'll second that.
Discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 10, consideration and possible action in regard to ordinance 19-11 and ordinance amending ordinance number 14-3, section 4, codified as Article 6, protecting public water supply, section 86-314 in the City of Kenedy Code of Ordinance in order to change the title to enforcement violation penalty and to include additional provisions with respect to enforcement action of this article and language providing for a penalty, providing for repealing, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for publication and an effective date. Is there a public presentation?
Yes, sir. Council, Mayor, this again addresses one of our TCEQ notices of violation and the backflow prevention ordinance, and we did not have sufficient enforcement methodologies in there, and so we've gone back and had council rewrite those for us based on some other cities that we've looked at, so that we do have what is required by TCEQ. And once, if y'all choose to pass this, once this is done, we can submit that as a proof to TCEQ that we move forward on that item again.
Motion?
I make a motion to consider item 10 on the agenda.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, so this is the backflow preventers on your hose to keep water from going back into the system.
Primarily, this is for commercial and for residential that might have a cross-contamination issue. For example, if someone has a hair salon working out of their home, they would have to have backflow preventers to keep any contaminants that they use from moving from sewer back into the water system, or from hair rinse. Covers all of our restaurants, covers anybody who deals with public service, and this beefs that up to where now we have violations in place that we can enforce, penalties up to $2,000 per violation per day, and it requires them to then have them inspected on an annual basis to make sure they're functioning properly, and to make sure that we have copies of those inspections in place to make sure that we can then look at those records when we need to. That's been one of our problems with TCEQ.
Okay. So, and who does the inspection?
The inspections will be done by a customer service inspector, either a third party or one of our own. We're getting ready to have one on staff. He's getting ready to take his test. To get that certification, he has to work in the field for a year, has to go take the class, and then has to take the test. We've accomplished the first two, we're just waiting now for the test date so we can do that.
And who hires the inspectors? Does the city does that for
The city does that as
Okay.
a third-party inspector.
And the city pays for it?
The city pays for the inspection.
Right.
Then, but they're required, no, I'm sorry, the owner pays the inspection fee
Okay.
on an annual basis.
That's what I was getting.
We pay the inspector's salary to do that.
Right,
But
I understand
the owner
that.
pays the fee for that.
Yeah.
Right, but if our guy doesn't get his license or whatever, and we have to contract outside, then
Right.
the owners would have to pay for
They
that.
still-
Okay.
That's the way we're doing it now, to make
Okay.
sure we can get those things
Who
covered.
is that third party? Is it Bureau Veritas still?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion?
I make a motion
One more question, please.
Excuse me, did you sign up for citizens?
I did.
Okay, let me get a motion, then we'll get your question.
I'd rather speak before the action is taken, because that's what the
It's
new
not
law
gonna- It's
says.
not gonna be an action.
Yeah, it's up
It's
to
not
you.
gonna be an action.
Okay.
Motion?
Make a motion Well, we've already.
Right, but we're gonna discuss it. In order for you to
Okay.
discuss it, I need a motion for this.
Make a motion, I make a motion to
Discuss it.
consider item number 10 on the agenda.
I'll second it.
Go ahead.
I would just like to know, are backflow preventers required for residential lawn watering sprinkler systems? And will they be required under this new action?
I think they are, if there's any chance that there's a cross-contamination issue. If you're watering out of your city water supply, probably not. If you're watering off a well, they will be, or any other source, they will be.
I have a question also. The city of Kennedy, we have a lot of properties. Are ours up to this ordinance that we want everybody else to stand by?
Just about.
Okay,
We're making sure that all of ours are meeting the ordinance
okay.
as we speak.
I want to make sure that we're not asking everybody else to do things that we don't do. So, okay. Any other discussion? No?
What, yeah, one more question. You give them a fine of $2,000, they still don't, they still don't fix it. It doesn't go up anymore, you fine them again 2,000 or?
$2,000
Each
per
time?
day, per event.
Okay.
So if
That's
they
all.
don't put it in, we can, now we're gonna work with people. This is not an automatic, you're gonna get tagged for it. But if they then say, no, we're not ever gonna put one in, then we can fine them $2,000 per day
Okay.
for not putting it in.
Is it fair to say that this is part of a larger picture with TCEQ?
Yes, sir.
We have to have this ordinance
We have
so
to
we can
have
take
this
the next step.
So we can take the, yes, we can take the next step and create a backflow prevention program that will actually be, where we'll actually be letting people know, if you're gonna do this, you've gotta have this, you've gotta do it every year. You've gotta have, this also gives us some teeth to make sure that if plumbers come in and install them, we get notified that they're being installed, we get notified that they've been inspected, and we get copies of those inspections as well.
Okay, if one of those failed, how would they, the citizens be accountable for that? Once a plumber, if a plumber installed, for example, and it failed, and
The plumber would have to correct that problem before.
would we
the
still
issue-
fine the resident though at?
No,
Okay.
because if the plumber's doing it, he's doing it under contract with the resident, and then he would have to make that right before we would fine
Okay.
the resident. The plumber would be on the hook for making sure it works properly and gets
Okay.
inspected.
But we could be fined.
They could,
I could be fined if my backflow preventer is not properly working.
well, if it's not, if it doesn't work right and it's not been inspected, you could be fined, but our position would be, we're gonna work with you first to get it corrected. And as long as you're working towards that correction, we're not interested in fining people.
Okay.
So do most of these home businesses, say like the hair salons, do they know they need backflow for these?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I wouldn't know that.
We're, in fact, we have been going business to business on ones that we don't have records on, saying, you've got a business that may require it, we need to check that, and if they do, we'll let them know and give them the time to put it in.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we take action in regards to ordinance 1911 and ordinance amending ordinance number 14.3, section 4, confide as Article 4, I'm sorry, as Article 6, protecting public water supply, section 86-314 in the City of Kenedy Code of Ordinance in order to change the title of enforcement, violation, penalties, and include additional provisions with respect to enforcement action of this article and language providing the penalty, providing repealing serviceable and saving clauses, and providing for publication and an effective date.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
We'll just go, before we go, just one last question. The effective date, immediately?
It's, the effective date is contingent upon the publication. So it's effective date, but we can't enforce it until after the publication.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Khanna?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 11, discussion and consider resolution 19 dash. I was just waiting for you to go. Discussion and consideration, consider resolution 1924, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Kennedy, Texas, authorizing the city to enter into a purchase and sell agreement with Union Pacific Railroad for the city's purchase of approximately 280.64 acres of real property for construction of a water pipeline and facilities to transport water from the city's planned Carrizo well field to the city in the amount of $3,762,000 even regarding the City of Kennedy Carrizo well project. Is there a presentation?
Mayor, council, I think at this time we'd ask you to pass on this item. We have an agreement finalized, but we have not finished the funding mechanism yet for this. And until we have a funding mechanism resolution, we'd like y'all to put this off for a couple of weeks. We'll bring that back on the November agenda. What I'm working on.
All right.
This was not budgeted, but I think we have a way to fund this and move forward.
Okay. We can definitely look at it. It's something we want to do, but we got to be able to pay for it.
Okay, what do you want to do with it?
I make a motion that we table this item.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? No? Any public comments on that? Anybody sign up for that?
No, nobody signed up for that.
No?
You have a question?
And they is your regular Garcia.
Yeah, I know, but for some reason you said to pass on it, so we're gonna pass on it. I mean, I got 100 questions for him, but
Well, you can still discuss the item and pass on it, but if you, at least you know it's coming down the pike, but since Renee is here, he's a valuable resource, and it's good to use him.
what was the motion?
We have it's tabled.
I need a motion.
Make motion, we discussed item 11.
Second?
I'll second.
Renee?
Hello, City Council, Mayor, staff. My name is Renee Delagarde. I'm the president of Texas Land and Right-of-Way Company. I guess sometime in January, February, we entered into negotiations with Union Pacific Railroad on acquiring is this okay to talk about?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be for approval in open session anyway, so.
Okay. So we've been negotiating terms, Adolfo and myself and Union Pacific Railroad, their attorneys and their real estate group. And we're very close to an agreement here. I guess we do have an agreement.
Yes.
There's a couple of
yes.
words that you have a problem with.
Yes, I think there is an agreement. There isn't any outstanding provisions that I can think of, but it's, again, I can only make recommendations to the council. The good thing about getting this early is you get to look at the contract and then have any questions. I'll be certainly happy to answer them. So myself will. So you will be fully informed on the matters of the contract.
We have Carrizo wells that we're going to be drilling up there in north of here in Wilson County. And this railroad is just in the right place. If we would have had to buy easements and get that pipe somewhere else to Kenedy, it would be a 3-year project. This number here would probably be doubled. And so this is a very good, it's a sweetheart deal for the city. And we've worked very hard on trying to get this thing through. There is about 22 miles of railroad, abandoned railroad right of way. There are about 5 gaps in there that we're going to have to acquire also. So we're not going to be done once we get this. There's going to be several easements, rights of ways, license agreements. I think there's about 100 of them that we have to inspect and locate and get you guys to approve. There are other issues along the road, along that railroad, but nothing that we can't overcome. So I think it's a sweetheart deal for the city. It's the best thing. It's going to save you a lot of money. All we're waiting for is it okay?
And I think we have the provisions with regard to the estimated acreage that it's going to take. And then we have a map that shows the pipeline that we'll send to each of the council members to get a physical, I guess, idea of how long this pipe is. And then again, the provisions of the contract, it's subject to the council's approval. And if you have any questions, I'll be available, and Renee and the city manager.
And when this is done, we own the land. We're not leasing it or anything.
It's-
So Union Pacific can't come in and say, we want this land back, get your water pipe out.
No, you're gonna have a 100-foot strip from, mostly 100. There's some that's variable width. Some is 90 foot, some is 200 feet. There's an issue with the city of Karnes City that built their jail on top of it, but there's extra land there to go around it. So, I mean, there are things that we're gonna have to fix. We're gonna have to do environmental site assessment. Phase 1, we'll need to survey it, and so I've got 2 survey teams waiting. We're gonna start on both ends. And it's gonna be about 6 months to survey it, 6 months to close it. So it's still a little time involved there in closing the deal, if y'all approve it.
And we purchased it at fee instead of
Right.
fee as we own it.
Yes.
We're not paying for the use.
We can do what we want with it.
It'll give you a lot of potential to do, to sell easements, you might be able to get some of your money back.
I encourage you to look it over, and if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. And
You're welcome to call me anytime.
Yeah.
That's why I left my card in front of all of you.
And you guys are working on affirming that.
So is that the only dilemma, the funding, or is it the dilemma, the funding and the words?
No, the contract is substantially complete. I think we've the wording or the provisions we have agreed to. So this is, I think it's already agreed to. Last edition was putting the amount of acreage.
They've already given their blessing.
Yeah,
on everything.
it's approximate. It's more, could be less, but at least it gives the council an idea of this is how much property we're going to get for this amount of money.
Sir, can the public ask a question?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, you said there's certain gaps you still got to negotiate.
Yes.
Okay. If you cannot agree, is the city going to use eminent domain to get through that gap?
That's
I
a
don't
legal.
think he can't answer that
Yeah,
question.
that-
No, I mean-
He doesn't have that
Yeah,
answer.
don't think I don't want
He can't answer.
And I'm not.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
They're gonna tell you. They're gonna tell us at the time if we have to.
Yeah. The answer I got. At the time we got to.
If we have- I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I can't answer for the city council.
Yeah, I'm just asking a simple
And
question.
everything, once it's, heaven forbid, it doesn't get delayed any longer than it needs to, but we get a go set in stone. You said 3 years?
No, if we would have done it without the railroad, it would have been a 3-year deal. We got 6 more months, and
6
we
more months,
should
okay.
we should be good. I believe we're gonna get the team together, once you approve, get the hydrologist, engineering, and we gotta do the surveying, LiDAR, we have to figure out the elevations, and we got lots to do, environmental site assessment. 6 months.
6 months.
We should be able to close in 6 months. And then by that time, during that 6 month, I'll be acquiring the other properties. So everything should fall into place at the same time.
So once we get all the property and everything, so then how long for the construction of the pipeline?
That would be great. Y'all gonna do the pipeline? I'm not gonna do the pipeline, I just do the easement.
Wrong place, wrong time.
I don't.
It's a wrong question.
Okay. I was
It'll
just-
take about a year to construct it, but you have
Okay.
to go out for bids. I mean,
Right.
yeah. You probably will hire several, construction companies for that length of a pipe. You do one,
Probably 10 years.
yeah, it'd take a long time.
I was just curious.
I would think about a year you'd be under construction. The water well should be drilled, or the first one will be drilled next year, I believe, mid-year. I believe that's what the plan is.
Wow.
Do you want to discuss the problem or no? So you don't know yet on the funding?
Don't know yet.
Okay.
So we can hold off on that 2 weeks.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to table item number 10.
And I'll second that.
Number 11.
No, 11.
Any discussion? If there's no other discussion, call roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Clement?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion table.
Excuse me, council, thank you.
Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Drive safely.
Thank you.
Item number 12, consideration of possible action in regard to mileage being part of Max Westbrook professional service agreement. Is there a presentation?
Bruce Mills is here tonight, and he would like to make a presentation to council.
I'll make a motion, we discuss item number 12.
I'll second that.
Presentation.
Evening, y'all.
Here, Bruce.
Well, I wasn't here for this, but I saw that on the agenda. I thought I'd better maybe clarify or answer questions from you guys for, mainly, I guess not real clear since regarding the mileage, it's part of our contract. So I read through that, and it's a little bit, I don't think it's not worded specifically about mileage, so I thought I'd at least kind of explain to you what we're doing to provide for Chris. So give you a little bit of background. Let me give you before Chris was interim city manager, back when he was interim police chief, and how we had it set up with your agreement was the interim chief stayed at a hotel, kind of a typical deal. In this case, we used the Hampton Inn, negotiated a pretty good rate at that time. I think the quoted rate was about 150, 160. Got it for about 110, if I'm correct, for an average for that 4 or 5 months that Chris was here. So I made some calls when Chris was going to come back, thinking we're going to do the same thing using the hotel. As you recall, at the time I was staying here, the rooms, the quoted rate was like $200 a night, and they gave us 120, I think it's 120 to 130. So kind of had that number in the back of my mind, and talked to Chris, and Chris said, look, I'm willing to stay in an apartment or a house or something that I don't need the amenities of a hotel, if it can save some money. And so we ended up going to Smiley, and Mayor suggested some housing authorities, some vacant space there, so ended up doing that. At the same time, Chris had a dog he needed to accommodate, so it worked out well. He could put a fence up, y'all provided that, and I think, again, correct if I'm wrong, but I think the rent was around $450 for that location. And again, it's 30, 40 miles away, and all along knowing Chris going to have to go back and forth, not having a city vehicle. So the mileage looked like it was going to be 800 to 1,000 a month based on the federal mileage reimbursement rate. So doing the quick math on that, I said, okay, if it's 1,000 a month, apartment's 450, utilities all in, say 1,500, give or take. And I'm going, the best I was going to be able to get, and I talked to the hotel manager, was going to be 120 a night. So you were looking at 3,600 a month if we just used our traditional model and put them in the hotel. So when at 2,150 a month savings, didn't see an issue. I don't think we had an issue where we talked about it when we were riding back from there. So that was how we executed it. Obviously, there's options. I mean, if we do it, unless you could rent a vehicle, provide a rent car or provide a city vehicle if you had it. Your fleet, I don't know that you had extra vehicles that could do that. That's an option. So we opted to pay the mileage, or you pay the mileage. And I guess that's what this tribute, what the question is. I'm not really sure.
No, my question was for the council, what authorized for Max Westbrook to invoice the city for something that's outside the contract? That was my question, but these guys refused to put it on there. And this is the question they put up there. It doesn't have anything to do with being part of the agreement. It's not part of the agreement. Currently, it is not part of the agreement.
Correct. That's correct.
So we got billed for it, and in hindsight, you're now asking to be paid for it. All I asked was a simple question. What authorized it? That's all I wanted to know. But for some reason, every time I walk into anybody's office up here, I gotta bring things to city council meeting to get an answer. That's all I wanted to know. What authorized it? I saw the check, I signed the check. I said, man, this looks a little high. Amanda, what are we paying? Well, we're paying for salary and mileage. I said, we don't pay mileage, it's not in the agreement. I mean, there's no way we should pay anything that's not in the agreement.
Okay.
I mean, that's the question. This is nonsense. When I ask for something to be put on the agenda, it needs to be put on the agenda.
This is the wording you gave.
No, sir. I have the emails. This is not the wording I gave anyone.
My question is, do we actually have a copy of an agreement?
Yeah.
Because I've never seen one. I'd like to see it. I've never seen it.
And I think it's on,
It was on the agenda package.
That was like a proposal.
It's an agreement. It says in the written agreement and nothing will be changed if it's not in writing.
Well, what I didn't see in writing, and I know I brought this up to you, and you mentioned it now, I didn't know we were negotiating using city property and using city employees on city time to be constructing dog kennels or cages. I wish I would have known that. I
Well, it
didn't know
wouldn't have
that.
been, you know,
It's not on there.
it wouldn't have been in our agreement. That was a deal that.
Yeah, I don't know how that,
Well, I'll tell you how it happened. Came here and the mayor said, I have an opportunity to look at this space. We don't care. I asked Chris, you don't mind driving this for? No, and again, informal discussions. Yeah, should we have amended the agreement to say, to include the mileage? I'd have been fine with me doing it. Again, read the last sentence in that agreement. It was trying to figure out the most efficient way to provide service for that time period.
Her question was about the fence and the construction. That was her question.
I'll just give you the answer to the questions of how we got to where we got there. And then, the mayor said, we have some fence material that we already own, taken down from an old ball field or something. And we can provide that and have it installed. So that's how that came. Again, not a decision that myself or Chris makes, so it was, and
But
mayor.
look at the date when that was made. I did say that, we did have that conversation, and that was half the reason, that was half the challenge why he couldn't stay in the motels. He had a dog.
That's right, that's right.
He had a dog.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, he
And
was
I don't
gonna
have
make
any
other
problems with any of
arrangements.
this
and
stuff.
that's fine.
But I'm not authorized to tell you, charge the city additional fees. All I can do is what they said I could do, and that was to authorize the agreement that you guys presented to City Hall. That's it.
So I do have a question. Within that salary, does that include the vehicle expense?
No,
No.
does not.
So is that vehicle expense budgeted into this year's budget that was going to the city manager before?
Well, we didn't do it as a vehicle expense per se. The city manager, you're right, the city manager had a vehicle allowance of $600 a month.
But it doesn't include that. The agreement includes the base salary,
I
nothing
understand,
more.
I'm not arguing that.
I mean, I don't, Adolfo, you don't have the agreement?
The.
I mean, we can sum it up real quick.
I've got it in my hand, I can read it to you. If
Yeah,
it's
I
not,
mean,
if
read
it's
it
not
to us.
say there's mileage, that's what I said. If you look at it, the literal agreement does not say there's mileage reimbursement. What it talks about is lodging, cost.
But it gives him a specific item in there, and it tells us everything about what he's gonna do and what he's gonna provide.
for his
and what he's
services.
gonna be compensated. Then he goes on to tell us what Max Westbrook's gonna be compensated.
Right.
And then it names what you and Max Westbrook are gonna do. All I wanted to know is what authorized the payment.
Okay.
What authorized anybody to bill the city, something that's not in the agreement. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
I don't wanna know anything
That's what I'm
else.
trying to answer you. I hope I
I
have.
didn't wanna know anything else. That's all I wanted to
It
know.
was built based off of conversations we had in Smiley, Texas that day, that mileage would be okay because we were so far away from the city.
I remember when we're driving over there, okay? I remember this clearly as can be. We got out there a good ways and I said, is this too far to drive? And you said no. A couple seconds later, you said, y'all pay me mileage. Now, if I said, okay, if I acknowledge that you say something, doesn't mean I agree to that. I can't. I am not authorized.
Well, you know, I
I
guess
can
in
only
hindsight,
authorize if it's in writing and it's by our own ordinance. We have an ordinance that says that.
in retrospect, because that was a conversation I recall, and maybe we should have, you and I, during the same day I was here, because that was the day we executed the agreement, is to modify the agreement in writing or in handwriting or whatever to say, you know, in lieu of
No, but it's been 2 months. We could have done that between now and then.
I took it for granted that it was already accepted. I don't know how you communicate that with council, didn't know if you did or didn't.
You were the city manager for how long? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Did you communicate that with them?
No. Wouldn't have. By the time I was here, I didn't do that. I didn't drive that, so it wouldn't have been.
Okay, my question
radar
was,
to do that.
this is not my question. This is not what I wanted to ask.
Okay, did I answer
Somebody-
too much?
No, somebody, I mean, I don't know where you come up with this stuff. How does this get put on here? This is nowhere close to what I asked to have on here. I wanted to know how it was authorized. That's all I wanted to know.
So who authorized the check? Who said, let's do this check with reimbursement? Who decided that? That's the question, I think, right?
That was my original question, was what authorized the billing for the mileage and what authorized the city to pay? I mean, because what that tells me, our checks and balances aren't there. We need to be able to, anybody can walk in and say, and he's not anybody, understand he's a city manager. Hey, I need to be paid. I just want to make sure that we make all these ordinances, and we're supposed to live and die by ordinance and resolution, and we're gonna hold all the public to all these things, but we don't even follow the rules ourselves up here. I don't,
We
I've had
actually
all I
don't.
can stand of it, I'm serious.
We
I
actually
don't-
don't, and that's what really bothered me when I found out about the dog kennel, the city property, the city employees, on city time. And that was brought to me by an employee, and so, and, you know, the public, they know about it, they should know about it. I wasn't happy about that. I don't know if any of you knew that that was negotiated in there.
So does the
I did not.
context that I'm given, and I guess because it did not occur to me, once the mayor offered this solution, this option, this solution, didn't occur to me to go, okay, we need to go how to explain, and what we were looking for, I'm doing the bottom line. The bottom line was, we're getting ready to spend $3,600 a month at a hotel. Chris is gonna have to figure out what to do with his animal, or not come. That was the option. That was the conversation he and I were having. Because an interim city manager, the plan was bring them in, they would stay at the hotel, that's the option, and you'd pay for it, period. That was the option. When this was cut in half, when we talked about the mileage, I asked him, run the mileage, how much is that gonna be? $800 to $1,000 a month. 800 to 1,000, how much is the rent? $450, great. And utilities, yeah, there's electricity, it's $1,500 a month. Well, that's kind of a no-brainer to me. We're gonna pay $3,600, now we're paying $15,000, and I think you paid overtime, if I'm not mistaken, for somebody to come out and put a fence up. And if they did, I would've said, great, do it. No, they didn't. Okay. I mean, if it had been me doing it, I would've said, sure, because again, I'm looking at the agreement. It talks about, our intent is to do this for the most economical way you can do it. And that's what we're trying to achieve. Certainly, this thing should have been amended, modified, corrected, or whatever, to say what the mayor just established.
I just wish that council would have known what was being negotiated, because when I find this out, it doesn't sound good.
I'm with you.
I contacted TML, they weren't very happy about it. You know, we're using city employees, city property on city time.
Okay.
That is not good. To do personal, you know, and I understand.
Well,
if
see,
it's
I disagree
negotiated,
that
what
it
are
was
you gonna do
personal.
about it?
I'm gonna argue
Yeah.
that it was completely legitimate, happens
No, I understand that.
in many cities we work in, but from a process standpoint, as your interim city manager, it was not my responsibility to come back and say, here's this contract that the mayor negotiated. The mayor would come to you and say, here's the contract that we negotiated, right? So why it wouldn't have occurred to me to bring that into you? Just wouldn't have.
I just wish we would know about these things.
Don't disagree.
So are we doing anything with this agenda item, or
What are we paying in mileage?
58 cents a mile.
58 cents a mile?
So you are being paid mileage?
Not now.
No, you're not.
No, as soon as the mayor raised the issue, I stopped submitting.
Well, that's not, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my assumption was it was part of the deal when he raised the issue. I quit submitting it until y'all could decide what we're going to do.
Can I see the contract?
Sure. I'm gonna say on behalf of the corporation I work for, the LLC I work for, we need to come up with an option, because I didn't know you weren't charging. And I will say, I'm not trying to push this that way, but we will happily terminate the agreement tonight if that's what's necessary, because I'm not gonna have somebody driving 40 miles away and, you know, and then come in and do the job. There's several options. Again, rent a car, buy a city car, or
Well, I
some of
think
the.
you were charging mileage.
He was.
You're not doing
He
it
absolutely
anymore.
was.
Since.
Can I ask this question? Would the LLC be open to paying the same car allowance that we were giving our previous city manager that's already budgeted for? That's 600?
Let me answer it.
See, that's why I don't want this question. This is what it's gonna turn into. That we're missing the point here. Anybody can walk into City Hall and present a bill and get paid. They
No,
don't have to be anything behind it.
I think now
It's unbelievable.
the issue got brought up, so now let's create a resolution. So even if it has to be a contract amendment, could we not make that decision tonight? We want to amend the contract for the $600 allowance, and have the mayor execute it after this meeting?
I don't wanna amend it.
Well, that's one person.
Yeah, and
I mean,
He's,
Yeah, I don't wanna amend it. What was that first option you said?
Well, the first one was I was saying rent a car.
You know, what was the second one you said?
You talk about when I said if he's not gonna get some kind of reimbursement?
Yeah, because that should have been in your agreement. And now you're saying, well, since we didn't get exactly what we wanted, because we left something out, we're gonna take our.
No, we didn't leave it out, Mayor.
no,
We didn't leave it out.
It's not in there.
I don't think we don't need to terminate. I think
no,
there's
we don't need to terminate, no.
I'm just saying that from, I have responsibility.
Let's resolve this.
And we, and you know,
We
we
amend
are,
stuff all
we
the
are
time.
All the
responsible.
time we amend stuff.
We are responsible.
This is just
for-
something else that was a little bump in the road. We can amend this, we can fix this. We're in the process of finding a city manager. Right now, getting rid of this firm is not a solution.
Yeah, and, you know, we are responsible for doing something on the mileage. You know, that's,
So agreements don't mean anything, is what you're saying. We can get an agreement from anybody and then,
But I don't think we should
Wants to change something else.
shortchange, I don't think we should shortchange our top level of management and
No.
put ourselves in another crisis.
Exactly.
It's an easy fix, I think.
Can I ask a question? Just to clarify.
hold on, let me get a motion, let me see where we're at with the motions. Where we're at with the motions?
We're still discussing.
Okay, you can ask your question.
Just to clarify, so I'm not misunderstanding what's been said up here. Were city employees authorized to build a kennel and care for the city manager's pet without the knowledge of the city council members?
Yes.
No.
I didn't know anything about
Oh,
that.
we don't have to answer.
But they can answer. Yes.
No,
Yes.
I advise the council not to answer citizens who address the council and citizens who hear it.
I don't understand why.
They've already answered.
I get it, yes, but I don't understand it. It's called transparency.
It's called transparency, but then issues that were not on the agenda get spoken about.
They've already answered. One councilwoman said that she was not aware that this was being done. So thank you for responding. I appreciate that.
What do we want to do with item 12? Any motion?
well, if we're not, I mean, we've got to do something.
We budgeted this for our previous city manager, and I am okay with amending the current contract we have in place with Max Westbrook to include a $600 car allowance stipend to be placed in the contract. I think that's fair. I know it's not the 58-cent state level, but that's what we were paying our previous city manager. That is a healthy budget. Definitely will cover damages and gas costs, and it's already in our budget. There's no amending the budget to be executed and started effective Tuesday, October 29th, 2019.
I'll second that.
What are you going to do to correct, to make sure that this doesn't happen again, that we just write checks to people and then we're not just presented bills? Because this isn't our money, this is the taxpayers' money.
You're correct.
So what are we going to do to fix the real problem? Not pacify people. What is the solution to make sure that our checks and balances are there?
But that's not the agenda item.
That's why I'm upset. This is not what I asked for.
Okay.
And this just gets put on here because that's what somebody else wants on here.
No, we're trying to
That's
make
not
this right, though. Eventually, we have to make this right. That's not how we do business here in Kennedy, is it?
Gotcha.
Going by and screwing people?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, Kennedy is known
Well, if this needs to be replaced on the agenda, do you feel comfortable putting on this, what your agenda item is, or a better understanding of what your agenda item is on the, November 12th?
Sure.
It's up to you.
Yeah, no, I'm good with putting it on there.
Okay.
But at the same time, you guys, as long as you're aware of what's going on up here, I mean, you shouldn't have a surprise like this. Just like I shouldn't have a surprise like this.
There's a lot of surprises all the time.
I'll answer any question you'd like for me to answer.
Well, and I think this is maybe
I'll
a
answer.
misinterpretation. I don't think this was vindictive. I don't think this was meant to sneak anything behind someone's back. I think it was just, there's a few things that were discussed tonight within this agenda item that was verbal word of mouth. The council wasn't aware of it, but the council as a whole was not aware of it. But we're just trying to figure this out. And if an amendment to this agreement is what satisfies both parties for us to keep working together and moving forward, then let's do it. And my suggestion to any council member that wants to readdress the issue that might have happened, let's put it on the next agenda and discuss it with personnel.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
No.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Item number 13, consideration of possible action pertaining to posting of employment qualifications for the city of Kenedy. Is there any presentation?
Well, this evidently arose from the city manager posting. The ordinance actually says may be required to live in the city. The posting says will be required to live in the city, and that's my oversight.
Right, but why haven't we changed it? I mean,
Why shouldn't they live in the city?
because there's a state law that says you can't require a residency.
Well, we haven't changed it because we've received a bunch of applications, and we can throw it out and start over, or we can explain to the applicants they may or may not be required to live in the city. The posting is not a legally binding document.
Right, but see, we live here, and I know I live here, and what happens is we post things like that, and then we hire somebody, right? And people go off what's posted there, and then they come and tell me about it, and we hear about it. They're not qualified, you didn't follow your posting. It's real simple. We made a mistake on the posting. We put something that our ordinance says we can't do. All we gotta do is change it. But again, I have to bring stuff to the city council meeting to get it changed.
Change it tomorrow.
I mean, and let's go one step further.
But then again, a lot of job postings don't even get posted.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about on that one.
I'm
Hey,
saying.
551, I'm sorry, 25.072, qualifications of a city manager, Adolfo. It says we cannot set residency requirements for the city manager.
Well, that's correct.
So-
But it's, you just, with any type of bid, let's say a construction bid or whatever, there's a change or there's a question, the manager of that, or the supervisor that is responsible for the bid or the city's information just sends a correction to everybody who has bid and just, you know.
And that's all I'm asking
Clarification.
for in this.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have to come to a city council meeting. These rules are written, and I didn't write them. I come up here, I bring them to your attention, I say, hey, we have an ordinance against it, and it just stays that way. I mean, I don't know if we're too busy, if we're ignoring it, but
It's, clarification can be issued to all the people who have applied, and it'll be issued as a clarification.
So can you, I'm sorry, can you do, because I've seen it in other charters, and I'm not saying it's correct, but can you say you have to live within 30 minutes of the location?
Well, it's, we're not a home rule city, so the charter.
I'm just saying, I've read other charters. I know that's not what we are, but I'm saying, are you allowed to say you have to live within this proximity of the city or no?
fire department and police is my understanding.
Is that only two?
Yeah, but a city manager, no, you can't set them, just my understanding.
And it depends on the posting or on the job. If you're a huge city like San Antonio, it's easy to live in San Antonio. In order to attract applicants, given the option to live, of the places around the city is in addition, is a good thing. No one likes to be restricted to one city. There may be a better school district somewhere. So if it works good between the applicant and the city, then it's fine.
So do we just need to change the posting? We change it,
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Yeah, just do the clarification.
and then let everybody know who's applied.
So that one just staff direction.
That's all I asked for. Okay, what do you want me to do with 13?
I'll make a motion, we table agenda item number 13 and give staff direction to update the job posting as well as send out a clarification of this.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Condon?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
You did say direction.
Staff direction, yes.
Item number 14, consideration and possible action in regard to water audit settlements and potential additional auditing of residential and non-residential water accounts. Is there a presentation?
Don't do so, Mayor.
Okay.
Up to you.
Correct. Everybody's familiar with what we did as far as water auditing last year, is that correct? Where are we at with the settlements? Does anybody know?
If we're going to talk about settlements, I'm going to request we go to closed session and discuss those.
Anybody want to go to closed session?
I'll make a motion to go to closed session.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Condon?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. At this time, we're going into closed session. Is this everyone? This is all the stairs? Okay, well, welcome back, guys. At this time, what time is it? 7:24. We're going to reconvene in open session. Motion?
Make a motion, we read in open session?
I'll second that.
Okay, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Condon?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you. Item 14, consideration and possible action in regard to water settlements, water audit and potential additional auditing of residential and non-residential water accounts. Any movement?
Make a motion to consider item 14 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Having audits done annually to make sure our updated water system is working would, to me, seem like a good way to go. We've had it for a year, and we're still having some water challenges where people are having high water bills. So there's still somewhat of a challenge out there. So if we did an audit each year of the system, we can figure out every year we can tweak it to make it better and better.
I agree. I believe the best possible thing with this agenda item where we are right now is in creating a policy system with the staff, either city manager, water department, have them come up with a policy where each year they do a percentage of the meters themselves to make sure that they're effectively working. But I think also we need to let the city know that if they are having water issues where they believe their bills are being read incorrectly, to visit City Hall, talk to Denise. She'll do a profile analysis, look over everything and see where the problem is, and just keep moving forward until the issue can be resolved. And I think the other staff direction that we need to have is a James or Mayor, what did you call it? The policy.
What did you?
I'm sorry, what?
The
An
policy.
agreement policy so that when
The
everybody
water
gets-
loss agreement policy.
Oh, yes,
It
definitely.
coming up with that in a future council meeting and us
Forgiveness, that's what it was.
forgiveness, that's what you said. in bringing that to council so we can make sure we're implementing it equally to all citizens. So I would like to make that as a motion, if y'all are okay with that.
I am, but would you back up? Did you say you want to continue auditing? Do we want to do more auditing this year, this fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say make that a staff direction as well, having either the city manager or the water department come up with a plan on how we can
Audit like each section,
yeah.
right?
Like I think this past time it was a certain percent, 10% or something. So maybe we do 5 to 10% of the meters, and it can be more, it can be less, because we're talking what 1,800 meters.
A bunch. This is my experience with all of this. The water department is only one small part of it.
Right.
Where our problems are between Encode, our computer system, and our metering. That's why it takes the professional. On our end, the guys have changed out almost every meter in town. But that doesn't mean that.
Every one of them is working
Right.
efficiently.
Right, and it doesn't mean that, because something created that problem with Encode and with whatever billing software they were using in the past. And we wanted, nobody was aware of it, they just kept running it and running it and running it. So I think we need an auditor, I really do. The guys have done everything that they can do.
Do we need somebody to look at the system itself, the programming, to see if it's reading everything right? I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
sounds
kind of what the audit would
like
do.
somebody
Auditors,
to come
I
and
think
look
that
at the,
They're your buddies from Tyler, don't you have some, or Katie? Where is it, Tyler Incorporated?
Tyler Technologies.
Yeah, Tyler Technologies, out of Katie?
I mean, I have a friend out of Katy,
Is that what I use?
but it's with the water meters themselves.
Yeah, okay, never mind, I thought it was somebody else. Okay,
There's some help the water development board has, and when they have smaller utilities, smaller cities, and they provide, they're a very good resource, because they want, to save water and locate for water loss cities. So that's a very good resource.
can you guys hear me? Y'all okay? Okay.
So,
Did that make any
so,
sense?
so, but you're asking for an outside auditor, not staff, not the staff to audit the system.
Right.
We're saying like an independent auditor.
Yeah,
Right,
I
so
want
they
to
can
check
check
our
the-
work, make sure our work, what we did
System
last
works
year is
right.
still there.
So is the proposal then to use, the same
That would be
auditor?
up to you guys. I was satisfied with Belt, he's pretty dang thorough. The only difference is I would cut the attorneys out of it. I want it to be delivered to us just like the first agreement was. How many months did it take us to get, and you weren't even here,
Okay.
but how long did it take us to get, how long did it take us to get the results?
A couple of months. It took a couple months.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that the council receives the audit,
right.
just like the agreement said. You get it, they ain't gonna give it to anybody but you.
Yep.
So if you would include that in here, y'all use whoever you want, but we gotta have somebody come back in there.
Well, and that's fine, as long as it's not exceeding 50,000. So do we need to go out for bids or?
Well, yeah, if it's within 50,000, it's a city.
Yourself?
I wouldn't know how much an audit.
Do you know how much it cost last time?
35,000.
35?
I don't, I was on maternity leave running, because I don't remember.
Initially it was 15,000.
And then
Yeah, we rented some things and kind of doubled up.
So then, are you, I guess my question is, are you wanting to do the same type of audit with the same percentage of, like a percentage of meters, or, because wasn't it 100 meters that they looked at?
I believe so. I believe
Yeah, I
it was
think so.
100 non-residential. It was a combination. The total was 100 non-residential and residential, plus the 9 multi-user accounts.
So then maybe the way the motion should be is go out for proposals to that auditor and say, look, if this is what you're trying to, if the city explains this is what we're trying to accomplish, he comes up with a recommendation, then that recommendation comes to council, and it's, I'm gonna look at 10% of your meters, this is what I'm estimating its cost, this is how many hours, and then at that time we know, okay, we need to go out for proposals, or no, we can accept this one because we're satisfied with
Under
this
the
work.
number, we're satisfied.
Y'all okay with that?
You're talking about the meters that are at home, at your
At
house.
Yes.
All the
They go
meters.
by.
Yeah, residents and.
Well, and then he also looks at the
At the
numbers.
system.
The
Yeah.
meters, yeah, the meters, the system that they use to track these meters, plus the computer system, plus Encode.
through all of
There's
that.
4 pieces to that puzzle, right? Then 4 pieces of that puzzle, there's a lot of opportunity for discrepancies. So the guys, they take care of this, right? But we want to check that. We're not saying they're doing anything wrong, but we're obligated to make sure that they're taking care of the meters. Somebody else here at City Hall, they have this job. Well, then somebody out in the field has this job. And then somebody else has the Encode job. So the auditor comes in and takes care of all 4 of the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And then we can come out and give the consumer some kind of confidence to say, hey, look, we're auditing every year. We committed to you that we're gonna make sure our system is working. And then we rely on that auditor if there's a problem. We can fix what we need to fix, but hopefully what we did last year will suffice.
So I guess my motion is pretty much all just staff.
You don't think that sending somebody every month, certain places, an employee to check on the meters versus the computer system here would benefit the consumer as well?
No, they did that for like 15 years and that's kind of how we got in the.
Well, and they still would be checking meters, so any resident or commercial, whatever, that has an issue, then the city will send someone
They
out.
still send it, but you
Yeah.
see it, this is just.
That's not gonna change.
This would just be a one time a year, okay, we're just gonna unbiased look at 100 meters or 10% of our meters or 50, whatever the recommendation is, and we're gonna make sure every single one of those meters is working properly.
The meters, the computer
The
system,
computer
the
system,
software,
the
the whole
rates.
system.
Yep.
That is working correctly from point A to point Z, so that the consumers, our citizens, know that when they get a water bill, the chances are
That's
it's
right.
correct.
Good idea. Motion.
That's the meter, right?
Right.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
If we could be clear on the motion too, so I can be clear.
Okay.
Okay.
So the motion would be for staff to reach out to the belt auditors, ask for a proposal with what the council's trying to achieve as far as auditing either a certain percentage or a certain number of water meters to make sure that they are operating correctly, the information is input correctly. Also, staff direction to, in the future, look at a water forgiveness policy for all citizens and business owners within the city. There's a third
Is there a third part?
Or was that-
Forgiveness.
The water
And the audit,
forgiveness
yeah.
and the audot, I think that was
I
it.
think that was
Okay.
it.
That was it?
I believe so.
And then I'll second that.
All right.
If there's no, is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Brandis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 15, consideration and possible action pertaining to City of Kennedy employee complaints to council and/or the mayor. Any presentation?
Make a motion to discuss item 15.
I'll second that.
Okay, I get complaints from the employees. They come up to me and they tell me, some of the employees, and they'll share their thoughts with me. And some of these situations, I feel kind of bad because I'm the worst guy up here. And for them to come to me and share their concerns, that means there's really something wrong. I've run into situations where people, I usually refer them to their supervisor. I can only provide what I'm qualified in, and I'm not a counselor or I'm legislature, that's it. But when somebody comes up and says, hey, Counselor so-and-so, or Councilman so-and-so, or whatever, I complain to them about the same thing, and I say, well, what do they do about it? Well, nothing really. I don't know if they're expecting for us to do something about it. I don't know what they're after, other than there's a problem. And on our end, what are we gonna do to address that problem? Because they're not coming to me for nothing. Does anybody come to any of you guys?
Yes, I've had a couple of people
Yes.
come to me and tell me that they were,
Really?
felt.
Did Brandon say yes?
Yes.
Did they come to you?
They felt that they were scared to come to work. They felt like if they did one little thing that they were gonna get fired. They were afraid that they were people looking very closely, just kind of,
Like they're being hawked, they're
Right.
being singled out.
and they were afraid to come to work. They were afraid to say anything. And so I suggested, I said, talk to your immediate supervisor, tell them your concerns, have a conversation with this person, let them know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how you're feeling, because they're not gonna know if you don't say anything. No, we're afraid if we say anything, we're gonna get fired. I've had a couple people come to me and they've called me several times with the same thing, and I keep telling them, you've got to go to your supervisor, you've got to talk to them, because I can't fire you, I can't hire you, I can't do anything, listen to what you're telling me, but you've got to go talk to them and let them know how you're feeling. And they're afraid to. And they're afraid that there's, I should say how I should say this, but they're afraid there's some council members that might have some influence and have them fired, is what they're saying. And I reassured them that we couldn't do that, but they don't believe it.
As a council, we don't hire, we don't fire, we have no authority in the employment.
And I've explained that, and I've said, please talk to your supervisor if you're feeling uncomfortable, if there's something that you just don't feel right.
Have they had council people come to their job and that's what started it, or?
Their job is here.
I understand, but not in this room, actually
Go out to
at
a work
their
site.
work site.
Yes.
It was brought to my attention.
When we as council people go to somebody's work site, we observe and look. That's it. We make no.
I mean, like
We give no
when I
direction.
first came on, I visited the water company, just introduced myself, and they were showing me things, and I was like, ooh, how does that work? What is that? And why is that like that? That's just me. But then that was it after that. Unless they call me up here to come up here and do something, I don't bother them. They have a job to do, and I expect them to do that job, and I'm not gonna be in their way. That's how I feel. They need me. Amanda will say, hey, Brenda, can I come by and so you can sign contracts? Come on by, or can you come by the office? Then I'll come up here. Other than that, I don't bother anybody here because they have a job to do like I do at my job. So I don't bother anybody, but they were concerned that if they voiced their opinion, that they were nervous around people, or they were afraid that they were being singled out or going to be fired, they were afraid to say anything. So they came to me and comments that I wouldn't say who they were, which I haven't. I haven't said anything. But I told them, and I encouraged them, talk to your supervisor. Tell them what you're feeling. Tell them how uneasy you are. And maybe it's not anything. Maybe you're reading more into it than what it really is. Or maybe there is a problem, but talk to them. And they haven't.
And Chris, when the supervisors have that situation, are they coming to you, or?
Yeah, and they've all been instructed, they have to write them up and bring them to me. And we will not discipline anybody on hearsay. You gotta write it down, you gotta stand behind it, period. It's not gonna happen.
Then if you're having employees that are just feeling uncomfortable and then feeling like, oh, like they're not sure there's a problem or not, or do you have an open door policy?
Absolutely.
Just all your supervisors tell them, come talk to me if you're feeling something. I would just make sure, I don't know
In
how
the
you.
memo today, I told them, if you're uncomfortable with your supervisor, you come to me and I'll help you to work through the process.
Yeah, well, we're talking about city councilors and the mayor. Some of them are having those problems.
Oh,
I have an employee, possibly two, that presented to me that they were in a meeting, and I believe Bruce Mills was at that meeting, and there was a comment made. There was two city councilors present, and what was said at that meeting was, remember, we're the ones that decide if you stay or not. And I'd like to believe that that's not true, but I have to take it at face value, and I don't know why an employee would lie to me, but that concerns me. I mean, big time. Because if we're doing that, we're out of line. We shouldn't be doing it.
well, and I think I've made my position clear that I would prefer the councilors not come to our staff meetings.
Has anybody else been told that, though?
You told me that, yeah.
What, not to come to the staff meeting?
No, not that.
Oh.
Has anybody else been told about has any employee complained to any of you guys about city councilors making that comment that we're the ones that decide if you stay or not?
No, 'cause I mean, I've attended those
I
meetings
haven't
and I
heard
don't.
that. I just heard that
I
they
don't-
were up here.
I don't say anything.
I just want to make sure, we're on the same page, that's all.
Or just to get updates from your supervisor. That's it. I'm not there to, I'm not fire anybody, hire anybody.
But we don't even, those updates should be going to him. Our interaction should be with the city manager. We should not have an interaction with those supervisors other than say, hi, how you doing, how's your day, what's going on? We should have no other interaction. That is the chain of command that we've set in place, and that's how we operate. That supervisor reports to him, he reports to us. If we need to know something, Chris is the head of the bottleneck.
You're absolutely correct. However, I think it's my right to be there. I'm not there to
But you're not a
tell
city employee.
somebody to do their jobs or whatever. I'm just there to get updates. When one of my constituents calls me and says, hey, what's going on with this?
You go
I
to
like to
Chris.
give them an answer.
You go to Chris.
I do that.
But you shouldn't be at the city meeting, when he's having a meeting with his employees, that should be him and his management team that he's talking to. City council shouldn't be nowhere
Well,
around.
I understand that, but you've been a part of the council and the city manager the previous city manager has sat there and not told the truth. I want to know what's going on in my city. I don't want to come up here once a month and then you just tell me what I need to hear. I want to know how everything works. I've been to the water department. I haven't been to the sewer plant yet. I want to know what are we doing? I don't want to sit here and just.
Which is great. Go to the plant. Don't go to
Well,
his
I've done
meeting.
that. And he's told me that, but again, I've contacted TML and it's okay for me to be there if I choose to be. I'm not there at every meeting.
I'm gonna give you the example that I
He's
do
getting-
with Chris, and I
he's
beat
at
him
City
up
Hall
pretty good with
every day, all
this.
day.
I beat him up pretty good the other day with
It's
this, and this was his response, and it's the response I was looking for. I told him, I'm gonna show up to your meeting on Monday. I'm gonna bring 10 friends and some video cameras. He kind of got upset and says, no, you're not. And I said, why not? He says, because it's not open to the public. Because TML should tell you this when you call them up. They should tell you that if you're not at a city council meeting and you don't have a motion and a second, that's it. We act as a body, not as individuals.
That's right.
And this
But I'm
city has
not-
relinquished all authority to the city manager. Love them or hate them, that's what they did.
But I'm not there for any other reason. I don't hire or fire anybody. But I know how the city has ran before, and I don't want that to be the same thing we've had previously.
I just know that when these people come to me and they spill their guts out to me and I tell them, okay, I'm gonna bring it to council's attention, I brought it to council's attention.
You have.
Everybody now knows, and whatever you guys do with it, that's your business. But these employees don't come to me for a reason. They know that if I go to this guy, he's gonna say something. He doesn't care who in the crowd says what about him. He doesn't care what they think, he's gonna bring it up. And that's why they bring me these things. And I'm passive aggressive a lot of
And
times.
that's fine, I mean, they have a right to do
So-
it, but I don't think any of us are up here to hurt anybody or fire anybody, or, I don't want that job.
We don't
So
have the
and you-
authority,
Of course we don't. I know that.
but we need to give a little bit more instruction for our city manager to please make sure that the employees do know. And I saw your memo, and I appreciate that. They have to know and they have to be comfortable, because honest to God, I've been here a long time and we have some of the best staff we've ever had. And I sent you an email on this. We're pretty close to losing, man, I shouldn't even say it, 2 of the best ones we got. And for nothing more than harassment. And they need to be able to come to work and do what they're supposed to do, because they put up with all of our nonsense for a long time.
I'll make the employee meetings and reiterate it to all of them.
They're very valuable to us, you know that, and I know that, but I don't.
Can't do their job.
Yeah, I don't know their job, and another thing, guys, I want y'all to know, I did spend a lot of time up here, and and if you see my truck at home, chances are I'm out with guys. You know why? They'll call me. They invite me to go out with them, and then at 3 in the morning also. There's a reason, though. They know that they're gonna get results out of me. They don't just call me because, hey, you wanna hang out for the day, or hey, it's 3, James, you wanna hang out? Hey, man, we don't know what we're gonna do over here, here, and here. Can you help me turn this valve? Oh, y'all are one guy short? Yeah. I'll go turn the damn valve.
Where's the supervisor at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right there on the job site, and you're about to lose 2 of them if you ain't careful, because you got 2 of your best supervisors out there every single week. And then we want to beat them up by going to their meetings and talk down to them. It ain't gonna work.
I don't know who's doing that, because it's on me. I don't say a word.
Where's the supervisor?
I don't
There's a
say
better
word.
way. Those guys call me because they have a reason. Anyway, I don't have anything else on that, other than I want to make sure that they are taken care of.
So then, if, just to say, you're having an employee, one of those meetings in the morning, we shouldn't be going to them to get information? that-
No, you should
No,
go
you
on to
should-
the
you should
city
be going to
manager.
You
City
should be going to
manager?
the city manager. That's our chain of command.
If he
That's the way
invites
it's
you,
set up.
if he invites you, that's a different story, Brandon.
Okay.
I've gone before, they asked me to leave. They really truly have. They said, hey, can you leave? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And in my mind, I think, well, they got some things they need to discuss, and maybe they want to say some, I don't know, I don't know. You know, maybe they'll have something they don't want me to hear. Because they know I'm gonna come here and throw a fit. I don't know. But I have to respect what they want me to do. Legislature, not supervisors.
Yeah, we're legislative, but if we're on the
But when you're
council.
on your own and there's not a quorum, you're just like every other citizen in this town.
That's right.
You are not,
And citizen, if you're a citizen, you are not an employee, so you have
And no
no
business
reason to be
at the
at that meeting. None whatsoever. The chain of command is the city manager, the supervisors go to the city manager comes to the council. The council operates as a unit. If we are one in anywhere else, we are just a citizen. We're not anything else. And if we make someone uncomfortable by our presence, that's still,
Yeah, they should be able to tell us, look, we don't need you here.
we are
Please step
telling
up.
you here.
No, I'm talking about the employees, that we're making them uncomfortable, being able to tell us, I don't feel
But if
comfortable with you
they
here,
feel
go ahead and
uncomfortable-
step out, please.
But if they feel uncomfortable, afraid that you're gonna fire them, why would they tell you anything?
Well,
See what I'm
first of all,
saying?
We can't fire them.
I understand that,
And
but I'm saying if they
honestly,
feel that
If
way,
it's just a work meeting, I don't know what they're hiding.
perception is
They're not hiding
the challenge.
It's just a work.
but you're a citizen.
They don't
You're just,
know.
I mean, you're not,
They
can't go,
think you have the authority.
you're just a
No matter
citizen.
what
They
we
can't
tell
have their grandmothers or uncles, aunts, and
Well, I'm
whatever
glad-
sitting in
I'm
the
happy to
meeting.
know that we're concerned about the employees now. It makes me feel better, a lot, now. I know what we've had before, and I think we've come a long way.
And I will tell y'all, anytime you want to know what we said in those meetings, I will tell you. I won't be verbatim, my memory's not that good. But I make a lot of notes, and I'll tell you everything that was discussed.
You will.
Amanda, you're HR. You got any employees complain to you?
I've had a handful.
What do you do with that information?
I brought it to my.
She discusses it with me,
manager.
and we talk about how it should be handled, and what we should do. If we should recontact the employee or contact other people, we make a plan and move on.
So you're comfortable with it?
When I speak to him, he states that he's gonna
Okay.
take care of it.
Sounds good. I'm done on that subject. If you guys have something else, let me know. No? What do we want to do with 15?
No action.
Justin, nobody complains to you?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you do with it?
I spend a lot of my nights talking to them on the phone.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually somebody that messaged me on my way up here, so.
Oh, wow. Okay, no action?
Yes, sir.
Second.
I'll second that.
Call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
No action, item 15. Item number 16, closed session. City council will meet in a closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code under 551.074, personnel matters to hear complaint or charge against an officer or employee, 551.071, consultations with attorney, and 551.072, consultation regarding real property, in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly requires discussion in closed session. Item A, investigative report regarding a complaint or charge against the city secretary.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Call roll.
Counselor Briones? Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
At this time, we're going into closed session.
There's one you need to sign, though.
Open session?
Take a motion to go back into open session.
I'll second that.
Call the roll, please.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 17, reconvene in open session following the closed session or any portion of the closed session. The City Council of Kenedy will reconvene in open session and may take action for the item discussed in closed session. Item A, investigative report regarding a complaint or charge against the city secretary. Any movement?
I'll make a motion we consider agenda item number 17.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I just make a motion, we take no action on 17.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 18, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned. And Adolfo, is it true we only